Hey, and we are live here. This is the Jerry White Show, episode number 4. With me, as promised, a gentleman I've got to know over the last 5, 6, 7 years. I don't know how long it's been. We were just reminiscing a little bit. Larry Perrin and his first time coming to my show. He understands Gadsden has a drug problem. Larry,
Yeah.
welcome.
Yes, it's quite the welcoming committee you have in Gaston.
Yeah, at the radio station there. That was you know what, but your car got taken care of. They looked it over, you didn't have to worry about
it. Right.
No question. So Larry, before we get started, let me give you a proper introduction. Coach Larry Perrin, he's a national scouting report. Last I heard, you were the director of this tremendous company organization. And more importantly, you're a husband, a father, you're a grandfather. You absolutely love the Lord, and we're giving thanks that you do have a lot of family out in Arkansas and over that way. And those storms hit pretty severely over there, and a lot of homes devastated. But we were just giving praise to God that your family's home was one of the few that did not get hit, thankfully.
Yeah, they were very lucky. They were spared, but the American Red Cross has some things that you can reach out to help support that region over there. That region also now is dealing with catastrophic flooding. So it's gone from bad to worse. But yes, if you see any way to help that region through the Red Cross or anything like that, those funds will be put to good use, and those people need it. There's a lot of people that lost everything.
Yeah, I know we have a really close friend who is a major with the Salvation Army, who is right outside of Memphis, and they deployed a team over that area as well. And he was sending me pictures, Larry, and it was it's sickening almost. It's just sad, unbelievably sad.
It is, and that tornado. The good thing about it is Northeast Arkansas has a really, really good television station, and I'm gonna give a shout out to a guy named Ryan Vaughn, who's the meteorologist there, and he is on top of things. People watch him religiously when it gets bad, and it's kind of part of Tornado Alley, so you know it's coming, you just don't know when. And it being flat in the Delta, you're able to see these tornadoes for miles, and be prepared. Not like here in Alabama where we're dealing with hills and trees and everything else. Out there, they could see that tornado coming for 25 miles, and it was on the ground that entire time, just churning. And when it gets on that flat ground and attaches that flat ground, it's like a vacuum cleaner, man. It rides it until it hits something that's going to make it change its course.
Yeah.
But it was a scary night, but we got through it, and thank the good Lord. And he wrapped his arms around my kids. And in fact, what's amazing about that place, Jerry, is there were no fatalities.
Amen. Yes, sir.
And you have an EF3, EF4 tornado come through, and there's no fatalities. You got a good weather station.
No question. Hey, and let's be honest, Arkansas, beautiful, man. It's I had the pleasure when I was VP of operations with DirecTV. I had some offices there, so I got to go out their way a lot. And part of Arkansas, yes, absolutely flat, but then you get in the what's that region called? God,
you get into the Ozarks.
Ozarks, exactly right. Just absolutely stunning. It really is.
Yeah, I've got my sister lives in Fayetteville, which is where the University of Arkansas is, and it's right in the heart of the Ozarks. It's beautiful country up there.
Yeah, I had an office there, and made a mistake of taking a jump team here, and it was a bunch of Alabama fans that went out there, and that's not a good way to get good customer service scores. Is wear the Alabama hat to DirecTV Arkansas fans now. Doesn't work.
Yeah, them folks are hog crazy up there. I don't know what it is.
They are. Hey, but now let's dive into this. I appreciate you giving me your time, because I know you're very, very busy with a National Scouting Report. Since you and I've last had a real conversation on air, recruiting from a collegiate level is night and day. It's more like the Wild West. And I hear people talking from a higher level, right? I hear what the ESPN people say. John Gruden's getting involved with his comments now, and some of the high level people. But you understand recruiting as well as anybody I've ever spoken to.
Well, it is our job to understand the intricacies of recruiting and to really debunk a lot of myths that are out there about recruiting. So much stuff that is being spun on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. It's just not true. And the fact of the matter is from the last time we talked to today, it is a totally different program. Totally different program. 5 years ago, high school athletes, were being recruited, were being showcased, where they could see these coaches. The transfer portal really was not as big as it is now. And it's just totally different how things look and how it is affecting the high school athlete. When you have one athlete going to the transfer portal from a D1 program, that creates a hole at the school that he left, but that takes away a job at the school that he goes to. So therefore, everybody they were recruiting at that guy got his job, everybody gets bumped down. Okay, it's a ripple effect. And another fact, if you dig in enough, the bad part about the transfer portal is that roughly 60% of the kids don't find a home. That they've committed athletic suicide, basically, or they have to go down a level. They have to drop down to D2, D3 NAI. So it's just it's very chaotic. We deal with this on a daily basis, so we have to stay on top of things. The NCAA was supposed to come out with a ruling yesterday by a U.S. district judge that basically came out and said there is no ruling today. They're still discussing things. Sure. It's a multi-billion-dollar antitrust suit that's going to affect future athletes for years to come. It's going to affect third-party name, image, and likeness agreements. But one of the biggest things it's going to affect, if it goes through, is these roster limit changes on these athletes and the scholarships that are available. I'll just use football for instance. We're currently a Division I football team. If Power Four is they have 85 scholarships. Okay. And their roster is up to 105 kids. The roster is at 105. That includes 20 preferred walk-ons or walk-ons. Then you have another 20 or 30 kids that are on the roster as scout teamers. Okay. So what all the people are hearing in Twitter world and everywhere else is now potentially, they've got more scholarship money available. Okay. They've got 105 potentially more scholarships. Okay. So they've got 20 more scholarships available. But what they don't realize is, what about those kids that were on preferred walk-on, okay, that don't get money? What about those 20 kids that are on the scout team? Now they've got to cut that roster to 105. That's it. Okay. And they won't have those PWOs. They won't have those roster spots for the scout teamers. And a lot of programs at the Power Four, they will probably fully fund if they opt into the program.
Right.
But some of your sport level schools, your smaller schools, won't have the funding to fund 105 scholarships. Okay. And that's going to leave partial scholarships for kids that they didn't have to deal with before at the Division I level, when it used to be a head count scholarship. Okay. And so it's just changing the dynamic of recruiting. The biggest part of our job is the educational piece of it, is letting people know the truth about the recruiting world and kind of debunking those hype myths that you cannot verify as fact.
Well, Again, I think you hit the nail on the head. Is education is the key. I was having a conversation with Coach Rich Rodriguez when he was still here up the road at Jacksonville State University before he went back home to West Virginia, and he was at a point. He said, "Well, my plan for what I was doing at, as he called it, Jack State. He redubbed the university to West Virginia. He said it's night and day. The money's different, the resources are different, the funds they have is different. So, and he was still taking. He said, but back in the day, he would take 25 uh, to 28. I think I don't want to misquote 25 to 28 high school kids. He said, now you can't do that. And now he's taking maybe 15, 20 at the most high school kids, and he's having to, the rest of the scholarships are going to the portal kids. So it's if and that's where your business I think is really going to help, because one thing, yes, your business is to help these individuals get matched up with the right school, with in the right programs, and you don't take just anybody, which I've always loved about your program. It ain't about the dollar for you; it's about getting the right kid that fits your system, that fits the, all the. I don't want to misquote you, so I'm gonna let you talk about it, but it has to be a fit. Then you do a great job of fitting them with these different universities to get these kids scholarships. But along the way, you're teaching them the process, which I think is fantastic.
Well, we teach every kid that we work with. Again, like you said, we're not open enrollment like a lot of these internet-based companies. We choose the athletes that we want to work with. And, that athlete now has to check a lot of boxes for us, okay, before we even attempt to move forward with them. They have to be open-minded. They have to understand the recruiting process and all of the intricacies that are involved in that recruiting process. And then they have to be patient and understand that this is going to have to take some time to wash out. It's not like it was 15 years ago. 15 years ago, I could say, "Hey, coach, I got a kid," and if that kid could play at that level, we were off and running. It's different now. It's different now, and we are an advocate on behalf of that athlete. We're opening the door. I refer to it. I kick the door open. You still got to walk in.
Mm.
Um, you know, and but them understanding that process, the recruiting process itself, is one of the biggest hurdles. And when I describe it to athletes, we use hurdles in the terminology. You have to be identified and recognized. That's number one. That's the first hurdle. Okay. Well, how is a high school kid going to get identified if he's playing for a little 2A school or a little 3A school, up in the hills of Northeast Alabama? Okay. He needs an advocate. Okay. Once he gets identified and recognized, the coaches know who he is, then he's going to get evaluated. And that evaluation is the coach saying, can he play at my level? Does he meet my schematics, the scheme that I run? Okay. A lot of kids say, man, he's a D1 quarterback. Well, he may not be a D1 quarterback for people that run an RPO offense. Okay. He may be a traditional drop back passer. Okay. Not every school runs the same offense. So you got to match the scheme as well. But once you get evaluated and you pass that hurdle, then you go to the comparison phase and they start looking at apples and apples, apples and oranges. They start looking for reasons not to recruit you. They start looking at your social media. They talk to your school counselors, all of that stuff. Okay. And then you think you jumped 3 hurdles and I've gotten to I'm down the home stretch. I'm looking at the offer right down there. It's within my grasp. Well, open up a side gate on the track, and here comes the transfer portal kids. Okay. Now you've got to compete against 21 and 22-year-old collegiate athletes that have film probably playing college ball. So it is drastically affected the high school athlete in a negative way. Now, again, what we do is we turn up our advocacy for these kids, and we make sure that we are giving these coaches everything that they're looking for on these high school kids: the academic part of it, the social part of it, the athletic skill set part of it, the entire package. Because I'm bear with me as I say this. Larry Perrin 62-year-old old ball coach, says there's two valid reasons to go in the transfer portal, in my opinion. One is a coaching change where they've changed the schematics, everything's different. You may not mesh with the new staff. That's a reason.
Right.
The other is if you've received your bachelor's degree already, you want to get your master's degree, you still have a year of eligibility left, and you want to go to a school that has a certain master's program you want to get into. I'm cool with that. Okay. It's a great deal. I didn't do that, but I'm cool with that. Okay. From a coach's standpoint, I start to see them kids running in on the track. Some of them got a little bit of baggage. Okay. There's a reason they're in the portal. Was it because they're upset about playing time? Was there a problem with the coaching staff? Was there something that happened at the school? You need to know all of these things. So I need my new shiny penny over here, my high school athlete, to shine brighter than them, to take away that doubt and that unknown of what these kids are coming in with the transfer portal. Pretty simple, but it's a lot of work.
Whew. Hey, can I get you to stop right there just a second? I want you to circle back, Coach, if you will. You said in passing, they pay attention to your social media. Oh my gosh, that will preach. Could you circle right there for a second and give me some examples of, because I know you have them, without saying names, talk a little bit about where it was all ready to go. You're about to get over the finish line. You're about to get that offer. Boom, there's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, the whole 9 yards. And son, you're not getting an offer. Or ma'am, you're not getting an offer.
Well, it's most of it is bad language, just improperly dressing, partying, showing beer cans, showing weed, letting people tag you and stuff where all this is going on. Okay? And sometimes it's innocent, but it happens. So these kids that we're working with, we preach to them, you've got to keep that social media clean. I want to see you playing ball. I want to see you as a son and a daughter of a family, and I want to know who your family is. Okay. But I don't want to see you out there on the Coosa River in a party barge with beer cans laying everywhere, acting a fool, or you putting, vulgar material out on social media. These coaches don't want that on their program because you're representing that brand. Okay. When you go to that college, you take that brand and you strap it across your chest. So now you're representing that brand. And if they think that you might ever do something while you're in college like that,
yeah,
they don't want to mess with it. So that is, when I say in the comparison phase, they're looking for a reason not to recruit you. That's one of the key things right there.
No doubt. And you guys do a great job of, it's not, yes, we talk football, but guys, that's the, that's what we live by, right? Football, baseball, basketball. And I'm going to get to baseball just a minute, but I was, throwing through your feed, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago when I can't remember exactly. And boom, here's a kid that got a fishing scholarship. Talk about what you guys do with fishing now.
Well, as you see, I'm wearing the NSR fishing logos on my hat. Fishing, we had been discussing growing into fishing because of the collegiate component that we had here in Alabama. And during COVID, when none of the kids were in school, they were all taking our money on our Tuesday nighters and Friday solos. Okay, because I'm a tournament fisherman. I fish on the Coosa River. I love it. So we decided, and our company president is my tournament partner. And so we decided to get with some college coaches, to get with some club presidents, to discuss what they needed to see in prospective recruits, what information they were looking for. And we built a program for them. And, I've been through the lacrosse growth. I've been through the tail end of the soccer growth, and there's nothing touch this fishing stuff. It is crazy good. We focus on 3 states primarily: Texas, Florida, and Alabama. These kids in these 3 states are the best in the country. And, for the most part, because of the level of competition, the availability of competition, Alabama has several trails that these kids can fish, and they're fishing some of these kids are just amazing. Since we've been in the program, we've worked with kids that are, placing in the top at the collegiate ranks, fishing for the number 1 team in the nation, the number 2 team in the nation, the number 3 team in the nation. And so it's been a great journey, and it's kind of a passion of mine because I love that sport. Football is what gave me my education, and I'm grateful for it. I owe football a ton. But if I'd have had this when I was in high school, I'd have never put one of them dudes on.
And your knees would feel a lot better. Let's be honest.
Yes, I wouldn't have had the 14 surgeries.
Yeah, but God bless football regardless.
Yes.
For it. Hey, so let's talk a little baseball, because you guys, your goal is to get these athletes collegiate scholarships. And yes, you wanted to play ball at the next level, but you're very grade centric, right? You're very people centric, but your grades are very, very important. And you guys follow through past the scholarship, right? Once they're your people, they're your people. You love these people. But let's talk a little bit about baseball and age limits, if we can, or when does one start, really starting getting recruited? Because now you're looking at all these tournaments and travel balls and 6U, 7U, 8U. I got a young man now, and they're like family to me now. He plays 6U ball. Jet Helms, I call him Big Country. He looks like he should be driving the bus, Larry. This dude is incredible. And like just him for an example, somebody very talented, loves the sport. He's ball 24/7. If his parents are interested in, hey, I want to think down the road, I don't want to wait till the last minute. What can they do? Give them some advice on how to go about getting him evaluated, or what steps to take. What's the right age to reach out to you, Coach?
Well, I have a real simple rule of thumb on young athletes. When is it too early? And when it's too early is when it would stop being fun for the kid. If you got into the recruiting game and it stopped being fun for the kid, then you didn't need to get into it. I want these kids to love playing the game all the way through. I don't want them to get burned out on what I'm having to do, and constant pressure of performance. You've got to do this, you got to do this. Now, I'm all about winning. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
And I'm all about being the best that you can possibly be. But I still want it to be fun for these kids. So, baseball, it's pretty easy when they move up to the big diamond, and start playing on the bigger field. And they've got a skill set that translates to the next level with regard to their metrics and their measurements, their velocities, their hitting, metrics, their speed metrics, all that sort of stuff. Then we start taking a look at them. We work with a lot of very young softball girls, but girls are a little bit different. They mature a little bit faster. Okay, so we can start to see the sculpture that we potentially will have out there, okay, at a younger age on the girls. On a boy, he might be 4'11", weigh $120, and in 2 years he's going to be 6'2" and weigh 200 pounds. We don't see that growth on young men until junior high, 7th, 8th, 9th grade, middle school area, a little bit late middle school, early, what I call junior high.
Sure.
But yeah, now we do have college coaches now that are looking at, in all sports, pretty much at freshmen. Okay, they contact us. They say, we're looking at kids in the 2028 class now. We're trying to get our board built for the 2028 class, and send us what you've got on those kids. And they want to start getting those kids to camps where they can see them and evaluate them. They can't talk recruiting with them at that age, but they can see them physically moving, and that's what the coaches want to do. And then when they reach the contactable periods for their sport, then the coaches can start reaching out to them and start talking about the evaluations, what they need to do, what they like, that sort of thing, potentially to get to the offer phase.
Sure. Hey, and let's talk about every offer isn't going to be a D1. Every offer is not going to be an Alabama, Auburn, University of Notre Dame. Go Irish. Let's talk about your relationships at all levels of these colleges.
Well, we do pride ourselves on our spread, we call it, and the spread is how many kids we place at different levels. Okay, and statistics last year, roughly 30% were Division One, some level at Division One. Roughly 30% were Division Two, and then the 30% were or a little bit more. I'm taking out the decimals, but that last third was D3, NAIA, and JUCO, and we have relationships with coaches at all levels, and each athlete's journey is individual to that athlete. Right. Just because a kid gets a D1 scholarship over here, you may not be a fit at that program for their scheme, for what they do, for the academics of the school. So that's what really makes us different, is those relationships we forge with these college coaches at all levels, because I do not, I've been to signing days, and I've been to Division One kids going to the SEC signing, and I've been to kids playing smallest JUCO that you can play in baseball, and them signing. And guess what? Everybody's happy. Everybody's smiling. Everybody's wearing the jersey and the brand. Okay, and because that athlete found their fit, and that goes to this next point. It's got to be the kid's fit. It can't be what mom and dad want.
Woo.
And it has to be what that athlete wants, because if it's not the right fit, it doesn't fit them. It doesn't check their academic box, their social box, and their athletic box. They'll be home on your couch in December.
Mm. Hey, Larry, let's talk a little bit about, you were throwing some numbers out there percentage-wise. I read where only about 2% now are getting 2% of high school athletes are getting D1 scholarships. 2% of all the athletes that play. That's a staggering number. Staggering number. That tells me. Go ahead, Larry.
The numbers for the total group of high school seniors, we're still in the 4.5% to 5% range of all kids. Division One, Division Two, Division Three, NAIA, and JUCO. That leaves 95% out there that are not.
Wow.
And it makes it difficult for the families to understand. It makes it difficult for a child who put in all the work not to get rewarded for that work. Conversely, if we get involved with an athlete and the family, our success rate is over 95%. And so in those 5% that don't have success, they either choose not to play because they're burned out. They've had an injury, which a lot of times we can overcome. They've had a social faux pas, which we won't dig into too deep, but it happens. Okay. Or something like that. And, I tell people all the time, which pool do you want to swim in? You want to swim in that 5% over here that's only 5%, or you want to swim in the 95% success rate? It's up to you.
Heck yeah. So for all the parents and grandparents and kids, a lot of coaches too. I'm blessed to have a lot of friends that are like you are, that are high school coaches, collegiate coaches. How can people reach out to you, Larry, and get direct conversation with you, and you can advise them on? Again, it's not an easy process. You can't write a check and become a client for you. It's a process.
Right. We have to evaluate. That's got to be the first step. That's where everything starts, is the evaluation of the athlete. I talked about the evaluation in the recruiting process. That coach is looking for a kid that can play at their level. Well, my evaluation is a little bit different. Does that athlete have a skill set that translates to the next level? So that's the starting point. They can go on our website, nsr-inc.com, nsr-inc.com. they can click on the get recruited button. They will fill out a little form we call a Scout Me form, and then one of our scouts will reach out to you, and they'll start that evaluation process. And in that evaluation process, not only are we looking at that athletic skill set, but we need to know your academics as well, because it plays a huge part in everything moving forward. Comparison phase in the process. You got two kids that are equal. One's got great academics, one's got decent academics. That coach is going with that great academics for a couple of reasons. Number one, he doesn't have to sit on that kid for 4 years to keep him eligible.
Right.
Okay, that's the first thing. Number two is he may be able to get this kid with great academics for less athletic funding. And they can stack potentially that academic financial aid based off of your ACT score, SAT score, and your grade point average, and potentially stack that onto your athletic money. So he may have more athletic money available to go out and get another kid. If I've got a kid that's got a 28 ACT and a 4.0 GPA, that's a twofer for college coaches. He can get that kid and he can go get another kid. So it really separates them. It is a huge separator. Okay. And when I'm evaluating kids, that's the first thing I look at is a grade point average and their ACT score if they have it.
Well, lastly, Larry, before I let you get out of here, I want you to talk about who's some of your who is a favorite kid that's been in your system, very successful that system, not necessarily a big D1 program, but just, hey, you just fell in love with the kid, you fell in love with the family, they followed the process, and they made it in sign with a college that fit them. Who's one of those guys for you that stands out?
All of them, but I'm going to tell you what has really reinvigorated me is this NSR fishing. Because you take a kid, you have an athlete, a young person that may not be 6'3" and weigh 235 pounds and run a 4.540. That child can still go to college and compete, still wear a jersey with a college name on it, and still get scholarship money to go to college. Because that's what this is all about. It is about using your sport as the tool that gets you to your degree. And I'm living proof of that. And my degree has been putting food on my table for 40 years.
Praise God.
And it's just it's that important of a decision for these athletes. And if I have an athlete that has the desire to achieve that dream, then I'm gonna bust my tail to help them make it happen.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. So if you're Nitro Boats and you're out there looking, get with Larry Perrin. He'll help you.
Yep. The NSR fishing website is just nsrfishing.com and then fill out the 5-star ranking application. We'll rank you and then we'll send you a report and then we'll have a conversation. If I feel like you have goods to go to the next level, then I'm going to be reaching out to you. Follow me on social media. On Facebook, it's Larry Perrin, Perrin, NSR. And on Twitter, it's just Larry Perrin. On Instagram, I have 3 accounts. I have regular Larry Perrin, I have Larry P Fishing, and then we have the NSR.fishing on Instagram as well.
Yeah, we'll tag all your socials in this video so everybody can see. Hey, is it true? I was playing on that fishing website, and I noticed that on that information that the kids have to fill out, they have to give up their favorite honey hole to you as part of the process. Was that a misprint?
Well, that's part of it. I just asked them to take me, and just show me a few things. No,
that's great.
It's just this new sport. Again, it is just reinvigorated me because this sport I'm so close to. But yeah, man, it's these kids, especially in the state of Alabama. These fishermen are just amazing young people. And these people who are volunteering their time to have these high school fishing teams, to coach them, to follow these kids around, the dads and the parents that are being the boat captains for these kids, man, I can't thank them enough for what they're doing for these young people. And it's getting these kids opportunities that they would not have had otherwise.
And it's not a cheap sport. Let's be
It's
real.
not a cheap sport.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it costs. Yeah, for sure.
go to Silicaca Marine and price you a new Ranger boat.
I'd rather not.
Yeah, little shout out. But
Yeah, go ahead. Discount. Tell Larry sent you. For sure. Yeah, and we'll
But you
post
know,
all this.
in all of our sports, we're wanting to educate. I'm coming full circle here.
Yeah.
I want to teach a kid how to communicate with a college coach when they go on a visit, when they go to a camp, what to say, how to respond to the coaches, how to follow up with the coaches. That is all part of making them shine a little bit brighter than those transfer portal kids. And in the game of NSR fishing, we teach these kids about social media presence, about marketing, about building their brand.
Mhm.
I don't know if Dustin Connell, who is a local hero here, just won the Red Crest tournament at Gunnersville, his third Red Crest. Got a picture of him right there. But his cameraman, Brett Burks, works for us. And Brett works hand in hand with some of these young anglers on teaching them how to edit film, on how to maximize their social media and how to grow their personal brand. So those coaches see value. And we do the same thing in other sports as well.
Heck yeah. That is awesome. Hey, Coach Larry Perrin, thank you so much for giving me your time today. We'll get you in the rotation, man. We'll have you on more often for sure. And if you want to reach out, I'll put all the social media contacts out there. Reach out to him, because I'm telling you, you can trust this guy. This guy has the best interest of you and your child. I promise you, his reputation is pristine. His fishing is way better than his golfing skill. That's what I heard.
Yes.
You can
And you are
confirm
not wrong.
it. Hey, to tell the bride we said hello, and again, thank you so much for being episode number 4 right here with the Jerry White Show.
Man, we'll come back anytime. Just got to holler.
Thank you so much, and again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. More to come. Thank you so much.